Yo, 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 yo. The Earlverse in the house. 2.5 hours late. But we're here. Sometimes the world of Hollywood calls, and you have to jump when they say jump. And you don't ask how high, you just jump. I was in Burbank, which it's not that far from where I live, West Hollywood, but it is far when you account for the traffic that I have to face. Over the hill, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but from where I live, you either take Beverly Glen, Coldwater Canyon, Benedict Canyon, or Laurel Canyon. And unfortunately, there's really no shortcuts. Now, you could be brave and drive up to Highland and hop on the 101, but if there is an event, let's say at the Hollywood Bowl, forget about it. I did take Laurel Canyon. Shit. You gonna talk about money laundering to me in West Baltimore? Shit. It's one of my biggest regrets was not getting a Clay Davis doll when I had the chance. But I will have some new background in a couple of days or weeks. I have a Kamala doll as well as a Medusa doll from her WCW days coming. I'm not sure where I'll put them, but we're going to figure that out. The space behind me is quite cluttered, but that's okay. So it is, what time is it? 6:45 p.m. So you East Coasters, sorry about the delay. I had originally planned for this to be 4 p.m. Are you going to be on Slop Quest tomorrow, Earl? I don't know what that is, Dr. Nova. Please enlighten me on what I can't keep up with Slop Quest. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm assuming it's something Dabbleverse related. So I will. Oh, yes, I will be. I thought it was called the Pork Report. I will be on Slop Quest with O'Neill and DeWitt tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. I have to drive back out to Burbank. But tomorrow it won't be so bad because, if I leave my house at 12:30, it'll still take me 30 minutes to get there. So, and I'm sure at that time it will be very hot. Yeah, I don't keep up with anyone else's podcasts and the branding. I mean, I wouldn't mind living in Burbank. I know Red Band used to live in Burbank. When I did Your Mom's House way back in the day, it was at his, I believe, house in Burbank. And I think Hinchcliffe at one point, I remember dropping him off in Burbank. So there are some. Studio City's very nice. That's where Jax's Sports Bar is. I mean, the homes above Ventura Boulevard in Studio City, you're talking. Lois just ate. You're talking easily 2.5 million and up. So what up, Ross? Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Lois is chilling. I just took her for a baby walk. Was Hinchcliffe was the ladies' man? Yeah, I think he did all right. I mean, he always had a girlfriend. Always seemed pretty horned up. A friend of mine owned a condo in Studio City. Yeah, it's a very Lois. I'm trying to conduct some business right now. Um, I mean, I know a lot of people who live in Studio City now. They've really spruced it up. You know, they got an Erewhon there now. They have an Equinox. They have a Whole Foods that's really nice. Yeah, Lois is well, it's hot, and I just did take her for a walk, and she just wolfed down a bunch of food. So you know, that's the funny thing though is when I take her on these long walks, she doesn't cough at all. So maybe I have asbestos in here or something. Um, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, that's it's not a bad area. I mean, if you really want Fat Daddy Studio City, I mean, I would say anything off of Ventura, like Woodman area. Now, I went to high school on Riverside in Woodman at Notre Dame High. Thank you very much. Go Knights. Um, and hold on, my neighbor is talking. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I'm on a stream. What can I borrow my car key? Yeah. Oh, shit. I don't know what that is you're doing, but I'm on it's like a podcast. Sorry. Oh, I'll go. I'll just open it up and I'll throw them on the floor. Okay. Sorry about that. So yeah, I mean Riverside and Woodman. Have you seen? I mean, that's where Notre Dame High was or is. That's like a really nice area of Sherman Oaks, and then you got Studio City. Have you seen Late Night with the Devil? I don't watch a lot of TV, to be honest with you. I watch wrestling, and you know, like I'll binge a season of Ink Master. Um, yeah, I mean, I might get an air purifier. Of course, it's been so hot here lately. I mean, I think right now, what time is it? 6:50. It's got to be around. Um, I would say it's around 90 right now. I mean, it's hot. So, you know, Lois is doing her best. Well, I do have air conditioning, and it's never really worked great, to be honest with you. Um, it kind of blows out room temperature air, so it's not the coolest, but yeah, no, I mean that's crazy. That's like Miami weather, William. Any thoughts on Vice series? Who killed WCW? I mean, I'm curious to know why they didn't have Sting or Ric Flair on. Uh, I'm assuming they didn't want to talk about it, you know. But I mean, those two were so identifiable with WCW. I mean, when I think WCW, I think Sting and Ric Flair. You know, maybe they want too much money. I mean, Sting's never really been known as the grinder in terms of wanting money. Um, I would like to hear Sid Vicious take. You know, he's pretty level headed. If you ever watch Sid's interviews on YouTube, like he's pretty well spoken. Like it's funny, like he's not the guy who was in his promos botching words and whatnot. I mean, Kevin Sullivan's like I mean, he was there, but like I would have liked to have heard from you know other people who were instrumental in the success and downfall of WCW. Um, you know, Scott Steiner. You know, JJ Dillon. You know, people like that. I mean, Sid's actually quite well spoken for you know being a guy who has the reputation of you know his wrestling character. I guess you would say was dumb, but yeah, I mean, I think you know two-time WWF champ. I think he was WCW champ. I don't think he was ECW champ, but like he made a mark in every organization he was in. He's kind of like behind the scenes, maybe a more likable Ultimate Warrior. Like he was honest. He's like, "Hey, I'm in this business for the money. I'll do what I got to do, but I want, my passion is softball. So, make it worth my while, or I'm going to go play with the king in his court." Um, yeah, I mean, Jesus, Kevin Sullivan does not look good. When you are billed as Psycho Sid, you don't have a lot of room for character development. 100%. 100%. No, we're talking about WCW Jordan the Lion, the man. Jordan the Lion's bachelor party will be at AEW Rampage. Hello. Um, but I am very curious. Maybe Jordan knows this why Sting and Flair were not involved. Now, Flair, I could see holding them up for money, but and Hogan should have been involved. I mean, he was instrumental in, you know, the resurgence of WCW. I mean, the original idea for the NWO was for Sting to be the third guy, and he would turn on Luger and Savage. Uh, but the Hulk Hogan character was very stale at that point. So now you got to really think about who to believe. Hogan says it was his idea. Bischoff says it was his idea. I think Kevin Nash kind of took a little bit of the credit. And then Scott Hall takes credit for the Sting, the Crow era. So, who knows what was going on. But I wish there were more people interviewed. Um, I mean, I'm trying to think who else was around back then. I mean, even Disco Inferno would have been an interesting guy to hear from. Scott Norton. Um, no one really seemed to want to take blame. So I think actually that they were all partially responsible for the death of WCW. I mean, Bischoff, you got to give him credit. He's the guy who got it to that level. But then he probably was responsible for letting the inmates run the asylum. Hogan's creative control, botched probably a lot of good storylines. I thought Goldberg kind of came off okay. I mean, he doesn't seem very sorry about ruining Bret Hart's career, but on one hand, there's only so many times you can say you're sorry before you're like, "Hey, it was a fucking accident. I didn't mean to do it. It happened. Let's all move on." Um, and I mean, I don't. Well, I guess with The Rock involved, they could have, but even to interview some of the big WWE guys. The Undertaker was in WCW. Mean Mark Calloway, um, Stone Cold was in WCW as part of the Hollywood Blondes. Stunning Steve Austin. So I thought it would have been. Now those guys weren't around for the downfall of WCW, but they were there when it wasn't good in the first place. So I mean, it was good. Yeah, Scott Hall is a diamond stud. Kevin Nash is Vinny Vega. I mean, Kevin Nash didn't see I love Kevin Nash, and he's one of the few podcasts that I do listen to, but he didn't seem really like he wanted to take any blame for the finger poke and um, I mean, Kevin Nash, he was in the clique in WWF, and basically there was a clique in WCW. So, and Vince Russo was an idiot, but that ship was sinking before he got there. He might have just been the guy who drove it into the iceberg. Mike Sanders, there's a name I haven't heard of in a while. So, I mean, I don't know why The Rock was necessarily. I mean, I did like the one segment where he was talking about the dream matches that he could have had, with Sting and Luger and whatnot. Hell, even Luger would have been a good interview. Luger's actually pretty uh, well spoken given his condition. Um, maybe Arn Anderson. Certainly he was there. Um, I mean, I would loved I was friends with the genius toward the end of his life. I would love to see a sit down interview with Arn Anderson and Sid. Finally get those two in a room. Probably not going to happen, but and you'd have to be of a certain age to really get the significance of them being in a room together. Who is Macho Man, and the Warrior's my favorite wrestler, but between those two, I think Ultimate Warrior had limited. Um, he had limited moves. You had the gorilla press slam, you had the clothesline, and that's about it. Shaking the ropes. I don't know if that's a move per se. I mean, Goldberg was a great athlete. I mean, Goldberg, I think the Warrior had the best body. I think Goldberg was the strongest. I mean, I think when he did the jackknife power bomb to the Giant and held him up there for a minute, and I think Macho Man was the best all around performer. Who was more over, Warrior or Goldberg? Probably Goldberg. Um, you know, I mean, Warrior was pretty over after the WrestleMania win, and he had some great feuds with Rick Rude and Macho Man, but pretty short run. I mean, I did like how they built up Goldberg. Warrior wasn't necessarily built up. He was just kind of Vince liked him. He liked his body. It's like, this guy's the guy. Hogan, you're putting this guy over. Um, yeah, I agree with that, Jordan. Well, you'd think though that I mean, The Rock does provide the other side's view of what was going on. I mean, like, listen, I had my friends in WWE messaging me during the AEW the Devil storyline because they were into it. They were like, "Who do you think it is?" So I'm like, "Well, Ziggler's a free agent; it should be him, and maybe if not him, Riddle." And they were like, "Yeah, that doesn't make sense." I mean, it was weird talking about AEW with people who are in WWE. Gilbert, get out of town. And NXT. I don't watch. What is she, the GM of NXT? Medial question for Daddy Man: was Fat James able to impart his secret for gaining substantial weight while dying of cancer before he passed? Let me tell you, Fat James is the only guy I've ever met that um, got fatter during bone cancer. I mean, and the sad thing is, and this is it's okay, Lois. It's okay, sweetie pie. The sad thing is, Fat James used to be like my size, and apparently he walked in on his girlfriend cheating. Like he was a Marine, like a legit Marine. Um, I don't know if he saw combat, but he was in the Marines. Um, and he walked in on his girlfriend, I guess, and she was fucking some dude, and then he just lost his mind, man. Just ate his way. Basically, I don't know if he got bone cancer because how unhealthy he was, but I mean, I've told the story of going to Dupar's with him in the Valley, which is now a Sephora, and he literally ordered two of everything: pancakes, eggs, syrups, sugars, and then literally was not trying to be funny. Orders a Diet Coke, and I told the waitress, "Give him a regular one." Um, the bottom line is the 12-year-old's huge part of Warriors fan base didn't know or care about work rate. You're probably right on that, B40. Um, I mean, I think the Warrior was the perfect guy for the time. And I think, I mean, him and Rude had, he could have good matches if in there with the right person. I mean, say what you want about Hogan and Warrior. That was an amazing match, which does not make sense. You take two wrestlers who technically are probably two of the worst wrestlers of all time. I mean, really, what were Hogan's moves? The leg drop, um, I guess the body slam. Although I will say I have seen clips of Hogan from Japan in the early days where he was pretty good, like technical. But the American version of Hogan was, it's a little rough, to be honest with you. And, Warrior was just a body. But what a great body. I mean, he was, um, just his body was unbelievable. I mean, just not just big, but cut 285. And I would say his body fat was 2% at 285 pounds. That's like God knows what he was taking to achieve that. I mean, Sting was like 250, 255, jacked. He looked like a midget compared to Warrior. So, um, what up, Ryan? Do you, hold on, I'm a little behind here. Rocky Maivia never met a camera he didn't like. Well, The Rock was nice to me once at a Monday Night Raw at the Pond, so he gets a pass. Hockey talk. We can talk a little hockey. We can shoehorn hockey in. Do you think the New York Islanders are on the upswing? I'd love to see them win the Stanley Cup soon. Well, I mean, they got to compete with the Rangers, who are all in. The Rangers are trying to get Zegras from Anaheim, and uh, there's a Truba trade they're trying to work. He nixed the trade to go to Detroit. I think Lindgren is possibly out the door. So the Islanders just they don't have a lot to give up. So that's the hard thing. The Islanders are in the worst position you could be in. They're not horrible, but they're not good. They're in that middle ground of just stagnant. And that's when you get like a draft pick around 20 to 30, and that's not going to help you. I mean, like the Kings drafted, I mean, Kings had the 21st pick, but they traded down. So they actually ended, I think, picking 25th, I believe, maybe 26th. And they got lucky. That kid Greentree is pretty good. They drafted, but I don't think the Islanders are going to win the cup anytime soon. If you look at, um, the East, I mean, Toronto's good. Boston went all in free agency. The Rangers are good. Carolina's good. Got the Stanley Cup champs in Florida. Tampa Bay is good. I mean, Pittsburgh's. They didn't bring in Kyle Dubas just to ride out Crosby's last few years. They're going to be involved. The Capitals certainly have had a great offseason. I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois, if they can get him going and Jacob Chikrin. So, I just named 8 or 9 teams right there that, in my opinion, are ahead of the Islanders. So it's going to, and, the Canadians, they're another team that's like right there with the Islanders in terms of, they're on the upswing, but man, they got a lot of young teams ahead of them. So when you take vitamins and say your prayers, you heal quick. Absolutely right. Remember when Hogan blew out his knee in that match and 2 minutes later had no limp? Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the adrenaline? Camp Lejeune. Fat James probably got bone cancer from something he was exposed to in the Marines. We joke about Camp Lejeune, but like, you might not be wrong there. I mean, I went to the hospital the last 3 days of his life, and it was pretty sad, too. But I remember the first day I walked in, like he wiggled his toes, like he couldn't talk anymore. I mean, he was fucked up, like he was done. But I remember I touched his foot, and he like, in my way of thinking, it was his way of saying hello and goodbye. Yes, AEW Calgary shall be good. Ryan, you're right on there. I mean, Hogan did have great personality. He had a great look. I mean, he was really like a bigger version of the superstar Billy Graham. I had King Kong Bundy's fat, sweaty ass in my face in 1992. No, I don't think you did. I don't think you did. Yeah, I mean, Hogan was very nimble in Japan, but then when he got to America, he seemed to be basically concentrated on the power moves and the promos. I mean, if they get Marner, that's a different thing. But you got to understand, the Islanders trade for Marner, they're going to give up a lot. So, is it really worth the juice? Might not be worth the squeeze. Um, well, I mean, yeah, I don't think Stamkos is worth $8 million a year, but uh, I mean, and I'm surprised Tampa just jettisons Sergachev to Utah. Utah's going to be a sneaky team, and they're in on Marner too, so I'd watch out for them because they've got a good young team. So, I mean, they basically got Sergachev for next to nothing, and they've got a ton of draft picks. I mean, they've been bad for 10 years, so they've got a ton of high draft picks coming. So, Utah's a team that even a team like the Kings is going to have to, don't sleep on well, they don't have a name yet, but Hogan, I think, well, Have I ever attempted the Michael Jackson "Smooth Criminal" lean? No, but I have done the "Beat It" dance. Uh, Hogan is so good at being a heel because he practiced it 24 hours a day. Well, I mean, I think Hogan's heel turn was the greatest heel turn of all time. And that first year of the NWO, I would agree that was the greatest heel of all time. Sting is a great baby face, not as big as Hogan, obviously, in terms of worldwide, but he was pretty good. Uh, well, I mean, that's Ryan. I mean, I know the Kings had inquired about Tom Wilson, I think a year ago. I mean, it's tough. You can't really trade Ovechkin. You can't trade who's probably going to be the all-time goal scorer and have him do it on another team. But Tampa Bay's cutthroat. You got rid of Vinny Lecavalier when he was the face and the reason you won the cup in 2004. You just jettisoned him. Stamkos is like, see you later. I mean, they're cutthroat. And that's how you got to do it. Like if the LA Kings had Tampa Bay's philosophy, Doughty would probably be traded to Toronto, or instead of making $11 million a year, he'd be making $8 million. So, um, did anyone else get Lejeune lawsuit emails? I mean, I see that commercial all the time. Uh, Holden Beach and Ocean Isle, way before smartphones, and I must have gotten 120 emails on the lawsuit. Like, kind of creepy. I'd trade Sorokin for Marner. The difference between a number one and a number two these days, not as big as it was in the 80s and 90s. Well, I don't know. I mean, the Kings, like, they have Darcy Kemper, and then, some people might not say it's a drop off at all with big save Dave Rittich. So you might be right. I think it's team to team. Like the Rangers, Jonathan Quick played pretty well for the Rangers this year. So yeah, you're probably right. Um, I think the lawsuit only pertains to being stationed on the base. Yeah, I think you have to be. I don't know if Fat James was at Camp Lejeune. Angry exotic LA Bush doesn't scare Earl. Animal Mother, you're always come in with the hot take. Uh, well, yeah, but and that injury he had's pretty fucked up. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays in Utah. Pairing with my buddy Sean Dersey. Good for you, B40. I Was Made for Loving You hit 1 billion streams on. That's great. I mean, it is a great song. Co-written by Desmond Child. Thank you very much. A lot of people think he and Paul were having like an affair or something, but who knows? I don't judge. I don't judge. Um, oh, the Utah Yeti. I could see that. Is Crosby still good at hockey? Whoa, whoa. I would say he is. Sorry, my RJ City doll just fell. I mean, he's not the Sidney Crosby he used to be, but who is? I mean, I'm 55. I ain't the Earl when I was 35. Or am I? Peter Chicken Man Brennan, $2. You must be a comic, dude. You make me laugh more than most. You ever work with Gary Laser at an assisted living facility? No, I haven't. Hello. Thank you, Peter, as always, for your annual contribution to my stream. Animal Mother, Earl could use the hog for a hockey stick. I mean, I don't know if it's that big, but B40. Ruin Squire's. Oh yeah, that video did ruin Billy Squire's career. He went from like this macho man rock and roller to some like fruity singer. Those burn pits were nasty. What are you talking about, Grimace and Bane? Not sure what that means. Utah Yeti. I like the Utah Yeti. It could be a good logo. I wanted the Seattle Kraken's minor league team, the Coachella Firebirds. I thought they missed an opportunity, man, just to have a little fun. Call them, because Coachella Valley's a bunch of old rich women. Call them the Coachella Cougars, but they didn't take my suggestion. I mean, yeah, I mean, well, I mean, you got 3 to 5 years if you've got a good team. Because then if you start winning Stanley Cups, everyone wants to get paid. If you look at the Kings, you Kopitar, Doughty, Brown, and then you bring in a guy like Gabrick, he wants to get paid, and you know, uh, and Slava Voinov got in that domestic um, violence situation. They had to go out and get Robin Regeer, and like that's why teams like Tampa and Vegas are always interesting because they go all in. They don't f around, and you look at Vegas, they let an original night Marcia show walk. See ya, go to Nashville. We don't care. Just raise up money for us. Um, can you send me a link to that, Ryan? I was like walking around what was it, Melrose Boulevard, and I saw the German in Venice. And I'm like, oh my god, man, that's that guy. I mean, I literally felt like I was meeting a celebrity. Who would you rather sleep with, Liza Minnelli or Amy Schumer? Amy Schumer. Oh well, Liza Minnelli 50 years ago. I like Amy Schumer. Florida had perfect mix of talent and grinders. Yeah, I mean, Florida got lucky with a guy like Kyle Poso. He was like, there's always that one guy, who you think is the least important guy in the active roster. And, Poso was, he was a grinder in Buffalo and New York. And, um, he played very well. I'm glad for Bobrovsky because I've said this before, but Bobrovsky, because of that contract, people in Florida wanted him out. I mean, they drafted Spencer Knight, to take over so they can get rid of Bobrovsky, and look how bad that would have been. I mean, Bobrovsky's one of the top goalies in the league now, and he always has been, really. But he had a couple wonky years, and I think Spencer Knight's trying to get his life back together. So, um, now it'll be interesting because Florida's lost a few guys. They lost Lomberg back to Calgary. They lost Montour. And those are two guys essential to the team's success. Now, they did re-sign Reinhardt, but, it's hard to keep a good team together because, even fourth line guys like Lomberg probably want to get paid a little more. And he is very important to that team. Yeah, John Tavares, he's probably not worth his contract. And this Sunday night will be the OJ Tour. Sunday night, the OJ Simpson Tour. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Butch Goring went from the Kings, who always had good teams in the late 70s, early 80s, but who is the greatest heel in hockey history? Todd. I mean, Todd Bertuzzi's up there. He almost killed the guy. And it's funny. A lot of people, that whole thing when Steve Moore hit Naslund, with a clean hit. And I could understand the Canucks being upset. Never feels good when you um, see your best player hit. And the real problem that nobody really talks about is now Moore ended up fighting Matt Cook, and that should have been the end of it. Most people who are on the Canucks side, I'm sorry, who are on the Avalanche side, was like, hey, Moore answered the bell. He fought. The problem is he beat Matt Cook in the fight. So the Canucks didn't feel like they got their justice. So, I mean, that definitely adds Bertuzzi to the list. I mean, Billy Smith is a great one. He was an awesome bad guy. I think Hextall. Yeah, I mean, Bobrovsky's no young chicken. Um, McSorley almost killed Donald Brashear. Okay, thank you, Ryan. I'll check it out. Yeah, Sean Avery's definitely up there. Ulf Samuelson for the dirty. I would say Ulf Samuelson and Brian Marchment for the dirty hits. I don't think Ty Domi though. He was like a heel you rooted for, like a Rick Rude. Like he wasn't a bad guy, but I mean, really the only thing that Ty Domi did that was probably a little wonky was when he was beating up Adam Burt, who wasn't really known as a fighter, and then Sandy McCarthy came in and said, "Hey, try me," and Domi was hiding from McCarthy behind the refs. I mean, George LaRock is a great fighter, but I don't know if I would say he was a heel. Theo Fleury was a very good heel. Claude Lemieux is probably the best heel. I mean, people fucking hated that guy. They hate his son, Brendan Lemieux. So, yeah, I mean, the German in Venice, check out his page. I mean, he does, like, my walkthroughs around the city are pretty low tech. The German in Venice, he does a very good job. He, along with Jordan, are my two favorite channels to watch, and Hood War Stories. Cam Neely was too well liked. He was a tough guy. I think Eric Lindros was a heel when he came into the league, but then hey, what can you say? He didn't want to play in Quebec, and looking back, I don't blame him. I mean, if you have a chance to play in Quebec or any American city, I mean, the taxes in Quebec are insane. And when I did roast battle in Montreal, I got double tax. I had to pay Canadian tax because that's where the event was, and obviously I had to pay American taxes on my income. So I can understand why people don't like playing in Canada. Tiger Williams, he was a very good heel. Dave Schultz was a great heel. Ed Boxcar Hospodar, my buddy, he was. I don't know if I'd say he was the greatest heel of all time, but he stirred it up. I mean, Darcy Tucker was a very. Steve Webb is a guy who, he had a kind of a brief NHL career, but he was great, man. He would run guys, and he was very. There's a video on YouTube you guys should watch. Just look up Steve Webb's greatest hits, and it's like just 7 minutes of him slamming guys, like totally. Steve Webb would not be allowed in the league today. I mean, he would run guys from 20 feet out and hit them. Like he had great accuracy. Did you ever go to Bobby Blotzer's Rat Cheese? No, I never did. Yes, Billy Smith, one of the great money goalies of all time. Dave Semenko was a good heel. Bob Probert was a great heel. Joey Kosar was a scary heel. Who is who was the LA Kings greatest heel that you marked out for? I mean, the Kings have always had some tough dudes. I liked Larry Playfair, although we got him when he was starting to break down. Larry Playfair, great heel. Let's see. Jay Wells was a real tough guy his first couple years in LA. Ken Baumgartner. McSorley was an aggressive heel. I'm trying to think. I mean, the Kings always had tough guys. J.P. Kelly is a guy that most hockey fans, I mean, you've got to be over 45, 50 to appreciate J.P. Kelly. And he never really fought, but he was like a precursor to Steve Webb. He would run guys, and he was a tough Canadian farm kid. So, like, not a great fighter, but if you wanted a piece of him, you didn't have to look far for him. Best baby face in hockey, probably Bob Bourne. Yeah, Darius Kasparaitis. That's a guy who did marginally dirty hits. Scott Stevens. Tom Wilson is probably today's, modern day heel. Kopitar is a great face. Here we go. Peter Chicken Man Brennan. Biggest comedy store heel. Tommy Leslie Jones, Dean 15, or Andy Kaufman Ghost. Man, that's a tough one. I mean, Tommy, man, a lot of people hate that guy. And, if Leslie didn't run the light, I don't think a lot of people would have a problem with her. Um, but, she's pretty powerful, so most comics just take it. I mean, there's nothing really, not just the Comedy Store, but any club, any TV show will always take the bigger comics side. Um, like even at the time, with the Rogan Mencia thing, I mean, basically the Comedy Store. I don't know the exact words they used, but I think they basically said to Rogan, "Hey, you got to apologize to him, or you're gone." Now, I mean, Rogan's 100 times popular than Mencia, but back then, Mencia had Mind of Mencia. He was a big deal. So, and you see it with comics who are accused of stuff. If they're a big enough comic, accusations don't mean anything. Um, Joe Sakic is a good baby face. Matt Sundin is a good baby face. Uh, oh, really? People spit in Ray Ferraro's food. That was I think that was the first what up, Mason in Portland? That was the first hockey memorabilia I ever bought, were a pair of Ray Ferraro's LA King gloves, who made Eagle gloves. And the cool thing was he had his kid's initials on his gloves. Very similar to the Kovalchuk gloves I have. I have like a couple pairs of Ilya Kovalchuk's gloves, and I think he has 4 kids. Um, and they're all their initials on his Canadian and King gloves have their initials. Is Steve Simone the biggest baby face at the Comedy Store? 100%. There's no one even comes close. Uh, I'm kind of like, I would say, you're not asking me, but it just popped into my head. I'm like the Rick Rude at the Comedy Store. Like, I'm a heel, but people like me. Uh, I mean, yeah, I mean, Rob Ray, honestly cheated with the jersey stuff, but everyone was doing it back then. I mean, I've had some of Marty McSorley's jerseys. They had the sleeve inserts. He wore a goalie cut. Razzle Dazzle McRae. He had the Velcro sleeves. John Cordick had the Velcro sleeves. So you would literally grab like John Cordick or Basil McRae's sleeve, and the sleeve would just fall off. Do you like the LA Kings updated logo? Not really, to be honest with you. What the fuck? Get over it. Good evening. Have you ever thought of bringing a friend with you Sunday when you decided to become a comedian? What was your parents' reaction? No, I'm going to do the OJ tour alone. I'm going to, and it's too far for me to walk after my dry run drive through the other night. So I'll just, we'll start off in the alley behind Nicole's condo. I could be in park, drive around to the front, do a little shtick. I mean, I can't really read any questions or even super chats when I'm driving. So I'll pull over at some points, and then we'll end the tour at OJ's Rockingham Estate. Now, not to disappoint you guys, but OJ's Rockingham Estate, I believe, has been torn down and rebuilt. So it's not going to look anything like, I'll park where Alan Park, the limo driver, was. Maybe I'll kill someone too. When you decided to become a comedian. Unfortunately, when I decided to become a comedian, my parents were already passed away. My parents died 2 months apart in 1998. And I didn't really start doing comedy till like 99, 2000. So unfortunately, they did not get to ever see my comedy. And it's probably better that they died, because my comedy in the early years was a little rough. Well, we'll see. I don't know, SCV. It all depends if there's people around, if there's security guards and whatnot. Um, well, I mean, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do one more dry run in the daytime just to see the quickest route. I mean, there's really only one route: Bundy to Sunset, make a left on Sunset, and I believe a right on Rockingham. So it's going to be, it'll be fun. We'll just fuck around, have some laughs. Um, And maybe I'll drive up to my childhood home in Bel Air where me and OJ were neighbors. Um, it'll be we'll have some laughs. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably I'm an improv guy, so that flashlight's a good idea. Um, and would be fun to like go behind the guest house, but I believe the home was like totally um, destroyed and rebuilt, so it's not going to be and I don't even know if anyone's living there. So I don't think OJ will be coming back on Sunday night, and then at some point we'll do the Cobra Venice. That might be a good one to have the German from Venice at the Cobra condo. He's a nice guy. Like he's very humble. Once again, check out German and Venice's page, Jordan the Lion's page, and the Hood War Stories are the three YouTube channels. They are my go-to YouTube channels. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they did. I mean, I know Nicole's condo is a lot more bushier than it used to be. It's almost like the new owners are definitely trying to discourage people from coming in. They like it's unrecognizable. Like if you could walk past it and not go, oh, that's where Nicole used to live. Take me in, pig. They'll say I'm insane. Even I have rights. Um, yeah, I mean, OJ, one of the great heels of all time. I mean, I thought it being 84 degrees at my office today was hot, but that probably feels like Alaska to OJ right now. Yeah, I mean, fuck OJ. I hope his cancer was as painful as you could humanly get. But he's so fucking lucky. It probably made him come 3 times a day. Like the guy was charmed. He lived a charmed life. I mean, I remember probably in like 96, 97, maybe. I was in Best Buy on Pico and Sawtell for you right across the street from Fantasy Island. Hello. And OJ walked in and it was so crazy. Like it was literally half the people in there were black, half were white. And the white people, you could tell they didn't say anything, but they were disgusted by the sight of OJ. And the black people in the Best Buy were going, juice, juice. Like he was signing autographs and taking pictures. Um, I mean, and he had girls wanting to fuck him who looked just like Nicole. Like, what the hello? I mean, just like unbelievable. I mean, some guys are charmed. OJ seemed pretty normal in movies. It's surprising he did what he did. Uh, I mean, uh, I mean, I can't say I've ever been close to killing someone, but um, he had anger management issues that probably stem back to his childhood. So, I mean, I've never hit a woman in my life. Have I come close? Probably, but I mean, you know, what can you do? Give what's give? I don't know what that means, Ryan. Can you explain that? That was ridiculous when a crew member. Let me know what that means. He won't do it twice, right? I don't know what that means, Grimace and Pain. All you have to do is any type of celebrity and some chick will want you. I mean, the Menendez brothers had marriage proposals. They killed their parents. Uh, I'm in it for the money, honey. Dr. Nova gets it. They ever find out what he had? CT. Oh, OJ, I think he had prostate cancer. Oh, German in Venice. I'm sorry, dude. I was like, what the? Yeah, German in Venice. I really like him. Like to meet him, like you could tell he's just a nice, humble dude, and so please support him and tell him I sent you. And thank you for sending me that, Ryan. I'll check it out. You know, Earl. I am a mother. Like he wants to talk politics right now. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. We go another 10 minutes, guys. And let me thank the tippers. I like to make the tippers feel special. Um, Peter Chicken Man Brennan, you're the man, baby doll. Some ways I want to know who you are, but in other ways I don't. But I know you're a comic. You have to be a comic. Nobody makes me laugh like you do. Um, okay, I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I think behind the scenes, Democrats want him out. I mean, because now it's not just the debate fiasco. And full disclosure, I didn't think Trump killed it in the debate either. But Trump to me in that debate was like the Harlem Globetrotters, and Biden was the Washington Generals. Trump just looked good because he was standing next to Biden. I mean, Biden the other day said he was the first black president. Like what? Like, and he's not doing shtick. Like he's like, um, and I think now that the focus is on him, like he's being watched a lot more. You know, the downfalls are much more noticeable. So I mean, but it's too late. Although I personally, now a lot of people disagree with me. I think Kamala Harris would be a great choice to run against Trump. I don't think she's a good candidate, but Trump struggles. We all know, whether you like Trump or not, he struggles against women because he gets misogynistic really fast, and he'd make fun of her face or her hair, and the Don Imus type shtick he would be doing would not go over well with women voters. Uh, so, I mean, she's really the only option. I don't know who else you could do, to be honest with you. Um, uh, Time is running out, no doubt. RFK Jr. is the man. Yeah, but he's too much into the conspiracy shit. Like, he probably could do better in the polls, but when he's saying a worm ate his brain, like, people are like, what is this, the Twilight Zone? Um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, behind the scenes, people want him out, but they got to keep um, a good face, because right now they don't have a plan B. Um, and the polls, it's neck and neck. I don't think either one is winning in the polls. There's a million polls. Half of them show Biden's winning, half of them show Trump's winning. So I'm going to say right now it's statistically a dead heat. So and the thing about Trump is, he's only 3 years younger than Biden, but I will give Trump this: he comes off younger because he can improv an hour or two speech. Which, can you imagine if the teleprompters went out on Biden? I'm not making fun of him, because watching that debate really reminded me of when my dad went downhill. It's not fun to see an older dude like just body and brain going. So, and I, like I said, I'm down the middle politically. But even if you're a hardcore Republican, that was sad to watch, man, because we all have old parents or uncles, and like, the other night when he was in the black church and he looked fucking lost. Like he looked like he was 2 years old and like looking for his parents in the mall. Like it was not. I didn't like seeing that. Um, what up, Boulder Johnny? Have bottom line people voted for Biden to be nominee. People forget these politicians work for us. They don't make decisions and who nominee is. Well, I mean, the delegates do at the convention, but like that convention's in 2 months. Like you got to get shit in place. So I think it's Biden, and I mean, this is a first in my 55 years. I wish I was 51. Uh, in my 55 years on Earth, I've never had a conversation with friends or coworkers about a president and their nap time. And he should get a nap. He's 81, man. They broke down his travel schedule right before the debate. It's fucking nuts, man. He like LA to New York, and then to the Midwest, and then to Europe, and then back to America, and then back to like somewhere far east. Like, holy fuck, man. I'm 55 and in great shape. That would fucking kill me. If you saw the RFK debate special, he actually answered all the same questions outright, and no petulance towards either Trump or Biden. Yeah, but I mean, that's easy because there's no pressure on him. Like he could wing it, fuck around, say some wacky shit. Jake Tapper, and I thought the CNN and Danica Bash or Dana Bash, um, I thought they did a pretty good job. They didn't show too much favoritism toward either candidate. Um, Boulder Johnny, $5. Thank you very much. I bet Earl has a plan B somewhere. Yeah, if you believe some of my exes, throw him down a flight of stairs. Hello, boing, 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 boing. No, I know how to pull out. That's my plan B. Yeah, Queen on. I hear you. I mean, I hear you on that. Um, well, it's tough to. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's like it's always tough. Like when we talk about who to blame for 9/11. You know, hardcore Democrats would say, well, it happened on Bush's watch. It's his fault. Hardcore Republicans would be like, well, the majority of the planning of 9/11 by Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and Mohammed Atta and bin Laden happened under Clinton's watch. And you could really even go back to Carter under his administration when the initial hatred was, we were funding the Russians to battle the Afghanis in the 70s. And so under Reagan, that continued, and Bush won, and Clinton. I mean, really, every president since Carter is probably to blame a little bit. It's like trying to figure out who killed WCW. So in terms of like there being no wars, and now we have all these wars. Some of the process of those wars did start initially under Trump's um, reign, and then they came to fruition on Biden's, term. So it's but financially, Trump's policies are much better for me than Biden's. That's for sure. Um, well, the one thing I do, I mean, there might be Plan A for me. Boing. The one thing I do like about Trump is I think he says what he means, which is scary, but I think he scares world leaders. Like he's a fucking wild card. He's like, you're going to pay your fair share or you're out of NATO. Like no one would ever say that publicly. He does. Um, so Peter Chicken Man Brennan, did you ever play poker, pool, darts, or catch at the store during the dead years? I mean, without getting into I don't want to repeat the same story because it's kind of a long story. I went up, did the store initially late 99, early 2000. Um, First comic I ever saw on stage at the store was Scotty Barron doing the Britney Spears "She Fucked Me in the Ass" routine. And then I walk out of the OR, and then the second comic I met was Gaylord Dangler. And then I went back to Potluck the next week. Dave Tyree had arranged because I paid him to write jokes for me. That's just how I thought it was done. I really should. I still have the jokes he wrote me. They were stolen jokes. Like I paid him a lot of money, and he basically gave me. I think he just stole from a joke book. Um, he got me on Potluck, and that's when I saw Brody Stevens cry. So I wasn't really around the store in the truly dark years of say 2000 to 2007. I started wolfing around there in 2009, and then year by year it got a little better. And then when Tommy got fired, it was better. Um, Bush did 9/11. I mean, I think though that the initial hatred of the Afghanis towards us was because we were funding the Russians, and then with each president after that, you know, um, it got, they share the blame as well. I mean, Clinton had 8 years to get him. Um, Bush had 9 months. So to me, anyway, how I look at it is, Bush is really blamed the least because he was only there for 9 months, and so he walked in. It's like